Hi, I'm Aaron Dean, and this is Advocate Today. The women's U.S. national soccer team is preparing for a three-peat at the World Cup. This year, Megan Rapinoe believes that the tournament will show that equality is good for business. Rapinoe helped push for equal pay for the women's and men's national teams in 2022. She is one of the most impactful LGBTQ plus athletes on the planet. She's married to basketball star Sue Bird. Rapinoe believes the Women's World Cup will serve as a launching point for global business opportunities for the sport and beyond.
It feels like a real opportunity to kind of like blow the lid off just in terms of fanfare and media and sponsorships and the sort of larger business around this sport. I think everyone is sort of hip to the game now and understands that this is not somewhere that's just like, oh, we should cheer for the Women's World Cup because that's the right thing to do. It's like, this is actually a terrible business move if you're not getting in on it, if you're not investing, if you're not putting resources to it, and if you're not tuning in, you're sort of missing out on a massive cultural moment in so many ways.
She also says that she believes that people will look back at this year and realize the, quote, massive cultural movement they witnessed. Helping uninsured women get access to contraception may help reduce unplanned pregnancies and abortions. That's according to a new report by the National Bureau of Economics. It found that women were 40% more likely to take contraceptives if they were free. Researchers also say that these women wound up practicing more effective methods of preventing pregnancies. The end result is that unplanned pregnancies could drop by around 30%. The findings were based on roughly 1,600 uninsured women. Atlanta-based life coach and LGBTQ plus advocate Obio Jones is creating space for queer people to have discussions around mental health, representation, and so much more. Obio and I had the chance to connect about tackling difficult topics, and he even shares some tips for those who might be struggling. When you talk about your life experiences and all that, as I was doing my research, of course, I was on all your social media pages, but on your website at the top, it says create space.
Yeah.
What does that mean? And based off of the life experience that you have, how do you create space?
I think a big part of creating space is visibility, right? It's hard to create things that you just cannot see. And I think for those of us who are millennial and on back, we didn't see ourselves. It just wasn't a lot of examples of who we could be, who we should be, what we should do, what we could do in freedom. And so for me, creating space is centered around this idea that freedom is yours. You don't have to ask anybody for it. You don't have to qualify for it. It is yours. It belongs to you. And through videos, through words, through actions, through just me showing up, through my joy, through me learning, I try to create spaces that create space.
So, also you're a life coach. How did you get into that? What was it that made you say, you know what, I want to help people?
Yeah, I went through imposter syndrome with that for a little bit. I was like, I'm kind of young, who am I? Have I lived enough life to coach somebody's life? The things. And so it's more about, and for me, I was getting so many emails when I first started doing content, and it kind of started to get a little bit of a buzz. I would get a lot of emails. I had this thing called a chat forum where you could anonymously ask me questions. And it was birthed through this idea that when I was younger and navigating, I would have loved somebody who I saw myself in to talk to, even if I couldn't do it in my freedom. I don't know that the closeted version of me would have been comfortable exposing who I was, but if I could anonymously talk to somebody who I felt seen by, I would have taken the opportunity. So that's what that chat feature was. You could talk to me anonymously, but I would get in the thousands. I would just get so many of them. And so I was like, okay, how can I funnel this through a filter that says we can help, we can talk consistently, because it was hard to talk to everybody at once. And so that's kind of what made me think about how I do this. I'm not, qualified to be a therapist, but how can I give some sort of that intermediary? How can I be that? And that's what birthed the interest. And then coaching just came about, man. I got certified and got clients who were LGBTQ, clients who weren't, clients who were young, clients who were Black, clients who were white. It was just a really, really good experience for me, to navigate that lane. And here we are.
Yeah. Well, one group that you are very passionate about, and advocating for is Black queer men, and specifically when it comes to their mental health. Of course, clearly, we're both Black, queer men. So, of course, let's get that out of the way. But what is it about? What is it about? Oh, you all right?
All right, shook the table. Okay, go.
I know. But what is it about our community when it comes to Black queer men and our mental health that really spoke to you and was like, you know what, we got to address this and we got to do it now.
Oh man, beautiful question. I think I know that we are great people. And I think it's hard to acknowledge your greatness in the midst of trauma, in the midst of fear, in the midst of self doubt, in the midst of all of those things. And so I felt like we could just get rid of that topical layer of trauma and self doubt and shame and invisibility and all these things. You can really let your greatness shine. And again, some of the most important, vital parts of my trajectory have been Black queer men. You know what I mean? And so I just knew that our mental health is so vital to us sharing our greatness because we're great people innately, I think. And so I just really wanted to create avenues and speak on behalf of people in their greatness.
Yeah. And one thing you're really good at is holding important conversations and just conversing with people from all types of backgrounds. As you know, everyone right now is celebrating Pride. And at the same time, queer communities are dealing with a lot of anti-LGBTQIA plus attacks from the government. People acting crazy at Target child. Anyway, but people mad about a beer can, and the list, as we know, can go on and on and on.
Yeah.
How can queer people, especially queer people of color, how can they continue to seek joy in all of this mess at once, especially after Pride Month is over?
Yeah, I think the bigger picture is like oftentimes we look at other people to validate us, right? And I think
Mhm.
we've seen countless times that a lot of people they don't care. If we're just being really, really frank in this conversation, right? Like we're expecting people who don't care to care for a month. At the end of the day, like our liberation is not only vital during the month of June. And so for me, I would say find spaces where you feel seen and heard. That's most important to me. Um, Lean into your version of community, whatever that looks like, and don't feel judged by it. If it's circuit parties, circuit it up. If it's not, don't. If it's whatever that looks like for you, find it. I think sometimes even within the community, we can be a little judgmental when we find our safety. And all of our safety and our freedom and our liberation looks different. Some people go to parades, some people want to go to clubs, some people want to stay at home with friends. But again, find those pockets of joy that make you feel seen and heard. There's no rubric to being comfortable in your skin. There's no rubric to being loved and liberated. But the foundation needs to be you feeling safe, you being around loved ones, and having a good time, especially during Pride.
Yeah. Yeah. So, as we continue, like you said, finding spaces that celebrate you and all of that, what is missing from queer spaces today? What do we need more of?
My personal opinion, I think we need more options. You know, I
Mm.
think I think sometimes it feels like there's kind of like only a very limited amount of options, and that's kind of life in general. Though I think sometimes we tend to round up with people, right? Like even with our orientation, you know what I mean? Like if you like guys a little too much, you're gay, right? If you like girls a little too much, you're straight. You know what I'm saying? But it's like maybe I'm in the middle somewhere. Maybe I'm over here. I think likewise to us, it's like I don't only want to do two things, you know. And I think sometimes it's kind of hard to find your niche community, especially within the queer space. And I guess I don't know what a definitive answer would be to like what do we need to put in there, but I think we need to be mindful of creating nuance as we create different events and different subjects and different things. And again, I'm gonna put my foot on the fire and say I need to do it as well. I need to get active in creating those
Yeah, we love
spaces.
self accountability. We love it. We accept it. I'm glad. I'm not gonna put myself out
Absolutely.
there, but you can.
So yeah, that's the name of the game for me. Putting myself out there and making sure that like we're all creating spaces that we feel can accommodate more than just the one version of people. So
Well, Obio, I really appreciate you taking the time to talk to us. I thoroughly enjoyed our conversation. I feel like we could go on for hours about different topics, and
yeah,
we just appreciate the work that you're doing for the community. Keep it up, and we're rooting for you.
thank you so much, man. Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks for watching Advocate today. Download the app in the Apple or Google Play Store to stream us live, and you can subscribe to our YouTube channel. For the Advocate channel, I'm Aaron Dean, and this was Advocate Today.